Earlier in this section, we talked about the common raster image formats. So we have JPEG, GIF, PNG, and WebP, which is a modern format a lot of people are not familiar with. We also have JPEG 2000. I didn't list it here because there is very limited support for it. But in this lesson, I'm going to show you how to use these modern image formats. So our focus in this lesson is on WebP images. Now you might be wondering how we can convert our images to WebP format. Well, there are a few ways. If you use Photoshop, you have to download a plugin called WebP Shop. If you use Sketch, you get native support, so you can easily export or save an image as WebP. And in case you're not familiar with Sketch, it's a very popular design tool. We also have a bunch of online tools like cloudconvert.com, which we're going to use in this lesson, as well as command line tools, which you're going to use if you want to automate the process of converting to WebP. So here on cloudconvert.com, let's select a file. I'm going to upload meal.jpg. That is our small version, which is 400 by 400. So let's go with that. Now, from this drop-down list, we can select the target format. So we're going to convert this to WebP. Good. Now we can customize the settings. I'm going to leave the defaults and go ahead with the conversion. All right, our image is ready. Now let's download it. All right, here's our WebP file. Now look at the file size. It's 97 kilobytes compared to the original, 260 kilobytes. So WebP images are a lot smaller than JPEG or PNG. Now there are two ways to use this image. We can use the image element just like before. So we can set the source to images/meal.webp. Here's what we get. Now I'm going to add the JPEG version side by side so you can compare them. So back to our markup. Let's duplicate this and load meal.jpg. Look, they're almost identical. If you pay really close attention, yes, the JPEG version looks slightly sharper, but most people cannot tell the difference. So it's much better to use WebP because our file sizes are a lot smaller. So this is the simplest way to use the WebP format. However, Internet Explorer doesn't support the WebP format. So here on caniuse.com, we can see that over 90% of the browsers out there support the WebP image format, except Internet Explorer. So Internet Explorer has always been a pain in the neck. Now, if you don't have clients on Internet Explorer and you're targeting a specific audience, you can simply use the image element. However, if you want to support Internet Explorer or any other browsers that don't support these modern formats, then you would have to use the picture element. So here we're going to add a picture element. Each picture can have multiple sources. So we add a source element. First, we set the type to image/WebP. So we have the type followed by the subtype. Then we set the source set attribute to images/meal.webp. Now, because we're using the source set attribute, we can supply multiple versions for high density screens. For example, we can say this is for 1x screens, and then we supply another source like images/meal at 2x.webp for 2x screens. It really depends on what problem you're trying to solve. Just don't over-engineer things. Always think about the problem, understand what problem you're trying to solve, then write code, okay? So we're going to keep things simple in this lesson. So that's our first source. Now let's duplicate this. Our second source is going to be a JPEG. So let's change the file as well. Now here we should always add an image element for two reasons. One reason is that this is where we're going to type the alternative text. That's one reason. The other reason is to support browsers that don't support the picture or the source elements. So we should always have an image element here. I'm going to set the source to images/meal.jpg. And of course, we need to write a meaningful description like a bowl of salmon and curry. Good. So here's what we get exactly like before.